I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the market currently, as we head into spring here, March 2024, supply, demand, that kind of stuff. So not much has changed here the last 5-6 months. Supply is in limited quantities right now, guys. Very little for sale as far as quality homes. So currently right now, I've always got a good roster of buyers. I've got buyers looking for detached in the east side, starter type home, maybe a Vancouver special. They've got a good budget. I've got first time buyers looking for good quality one beds. I've got investors keeping an eye on some of my good older strata in the West End that I like to buy. And I've got a couple of buyers for kind of a starter level two bedroom. Very little on the market. It's a trickle in. Sometimes I go several weeks before I send them anything, and even that is somewhat in their wheelhouse, and go from there. But very limited supply, which is always pretty much the case here in the Lower Mainland and downtown Vancouver. But want to talk a few things here. You know, we're about a year away from an election, and of course I want to set you guys up for this. If you've noticed, we've got a whole lot of what I call those dog and pony shows by David Dweeby, leader of the NDP, and now Justin is getting in on it too, because hey, we've got an election in just over another year federally. The NDP are over. They are done. Justin Trudeau will go down as the worst prime minister in the history of Canada. The Conservatives are going to decimate them in the next election, October 2025, if he doesn't call something sooner, which he won't. His ego is too big. So what he's going to do now, even though it's too little too late, they're going to roll out every housing incentive, dog and pony show, press conference that we're going to start building more housing. And you see David Eby is right in there along with it. He's been on a whole bunch of these press conferences. We're going to start building more housing, which is great. I'm all for let's start building more housing, build more rental stock at market rents, of course, even though I've done lots of blogs on that. These are going to be at $3,000, $3,200 a month for a small one bed. They're enabling you is what they're doing. They're keeping you in that renter quicksand, but hey, you need a roof over your head. But I can't help but just cringe at this stuff. I know a lot of people realize this, that most of the stuff they're telling you here is probably not going to come to fruition, has no hope, is 5-10 years away. But the thing that really gripes me the most is that 5 years ago, David Eby was saying that supply was not a problem, even though on my blogs here I was saying we should be building more homes and greenlighting more homes, condos, rental, whatever. That wasn't the problem, if you remember. Go back, you can see his press conferences. Some guys that I follow on Twitter have done that. It was the foreign buyers, it was the empty homes, it was the flippers and speculators. It was the guys taking advantage of the rental restrictions, investor buyers. It was renovators that were buying homes and putting them back on the market at higher prices. That was the cause of why housing was so expensive. And then federally, they proceeded to put a stress test on, 2% stress test, which is still there. The Liberals put that in place. That was fine when interest rates were at 1.2, 1.3%. Now that the variable rate is at 6.5 to 6.7, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Made sense when interest rates were at 1.3 and had nowhere to go but up. I get it. Protect people from these higher interest rates, these buyers. Now interest rates have nowhere to go but down, yet we still have the 2% stress test. They also removed the 35-year amortization on mortgages. Now, I wouldn't take out a 35-year amortization. It's just a lot more interest. But hey, at least it was a decent product to get that first-time home buyer to help them get into their first place. And they could always reduce that amortization down later on if they wanted. Now, of course, that an election is coming up both provincially pretty soon and federally, you're going to see a whole lot more of this. All of a sudden, forget all those taxes and restrictions we laid on you 5 years ago. Now, yeah, the problem was we're going to build more supply, and we're going to have all these dog and pony press conferences saying how wonderful it's going to be, and we're going to start building you all more housing. Don't fall for it, folks. I'm all for building more homes, but unfortunately, we've lost 5-6 years here that a lot of people like myself were saying we need to build more homes, get rid of all the red tape. I've told you guys, the city of Vancouver, for every one bedroom, collects about $150,000 in fees and taxes. It's about $250,000 on the typical two-bed, but they never talk about that. We've lost 5-6 years here. And now, of course, with our interest rates the way they are and our socialist regime in Canada and in BC, developers do not want to go anywhere near this building more homes. And that's why if you look around in downtown Vancouver, nothing is coming online. There's no cranes, no housing starts, very little. There's a few rental buildings that are just starting now, which will be ready in 5 years here in the West End at market rent. By that time, they'll probably be $3,500 a month and $4,000 a month for a two-bed. They're just enabling you, as I always say, and they're coming at the cost of building stratified condo, which is where you should be if you're going to stay in Vancouver, owning, not renting. So it's really crazy, but don't fall for it, guys. You're going to see a whole lot more of this. The NDP provincially here is in trouble. They had a massive lead. I didn't see this coming, but the Conservatives have been gaining a lot of ground here. If the Conservatives could, if the Liberals would, or what they call the United Party, would shut it down, because you're still known as the Liberal Party, even though you changed the name, and your name is mud now forever. Justin has destroyed the Liberal name. You should combine your forces with the Conservatives and we can get a decent government in place here in BC and get started on the right track, instead of this socialist tax everything to death, shrink everything, which is what the NDP's game plan is. So don't fall for it. Here's what, I'll just quickly end it here on what is getting built, what you do have available here. So I'm looking for good quality one beds priced under $700. Maybe $750. I'm looking for two beds priced under $1.1 in a good strata. I've always got my eyes on probably about 8 or 9 good older strata where I can get a good one bedroom starting at $535, $540 to just under $600. Nothing on the market right now. There was the last couple of those I had. There was 2 that came up in January and a good older strata in the West End. I bought both of them. They both got listed the same week, which often happens. They come in spurts. That was over 2 months ago. Haven't seen anything in any of my favorable West End buildings come up since. And I think it's going to be more of this moving forward. I think we're going to get more inventory, a little more. It should spike up a bit in the spring. But it's going to be muted here, I think, for a long time, and very little on the horizon, as I said, as far as new construction, especially with these interest rates. Developers just aren't going near it until rates start coming down. And another reason why I did that blog the other day on why interest rates should be coming down sooner rather than later. We're not going to stimulate much housing growth here when you've got interest rates at 6%, 7%, 8%. Everything is stalled out. But hey, what you can buy here is, this is the future of Vancouver. These are these luxury, ultra luxury condos that are available. There's lots of them for sale in this market. This is one that just got listed. It's a beautiful building in the Kengo Kuma building. I just had a chance to get in there finally on Alberni Street. Fantastic architecture, beautiful finishings, lobby. It's a very nice building. But here we go. We got a one bedroom, large one bed, one bath with parking, 780 square feet on the 8th floor, listed for $1.8 million. And this would have, someone's going to have to pay a second set of GST on this. So if you add it up, I mean, I think it comes out to about $2,400 a square foot here, I think, with GST. Beautiful building, but that's what's going to be getting built downtown, as I've said, moving forward. They're not going to be building 11, 12, 13, 14, $1,500 square foot units. Those days are long gone. Yet I still sell units all the time for $1,000, $11, $11.50. And that's why I'm getting a lot of young buyers, investors buying these now while the getting's still good. Now, they don't have the finishings of this building, but this is the future of Vancouver. $2,400 a square foot for a large one bedroom on the 8th floor. And, someone's going to eventually buy this. Might be priced a little high right now. We'll have to see. This has been on the market for a while. They started it at, they first listed this in the summer at $1.9 million. So, gee, that would have been, with GST, about $2,500 a square foot for 8th floor. It's a great building. On that note, these ultra luxury buildings, high tech, You know, a lot of features in here. I think it's probably geothermal and heat pumps and all that good stuff. Cool architectural design. These buildings are the type of ones I tell you guys, you know, you buy these, they're not suitable for an investor. These are dream home properties. Someone selling the detached house, downsizing to a ultra luxury building like this. But I always, on my people that I approach me on these type of units, I always say, let's give it a few years. Let the building settle. Let's just see how all the components, the systems, which are incredibly complicated in here, how this all plays out. Give it 2 to 3 years, and then we'll have a look at a building like that. But there are a lot of things with these new high-tech buildings that can go wrong. I'm not saying they are with this building. It's a beautiful building. But at these prices, I would just give it a few years. See how it settles, see how the pricing kind of settles out in this building, and then perhaps have a look at it. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to all my new subscribers. I'll see you next week.